along, sorry, I was looking for my paper clip. Whether it's along a trail, what should you do? Make a lot of noise, yep. Look big, yes. And should you ever run? No, you never want to turn your back on a bear. You always want to face the bear, wave your arms, clap your hands, make lots of noise, say, hey bear, how's it going bear? Have a nice day bear, see you later bear, and let the bear go by. Oftentimes you have to like step off the trail and let it go just because trails are the easiest way through the woods, so bears will walk on trails too. So right now bears are...
did at Laurel Falls this morning.
Yeah.
We had to turn back because we realized we were between a mom and 3 cubs,
Yep.
and we're all going, mama's down there, cubs are here, and they're coming out of the woods to the trail, and they were baby cubs.
Yeah.
So we all started, turned around and said, sorry, Laurel Falls, not today.
Yep, and that's perfectly fine to do too. We like to use what's called the rule of thumb. Have y'all ever used the rule of thumb? So the rule of thumb, I'm going to pretend this gentleman is my bear. So give him a thumbs up. You want to extend your arm fully out. You can practice with me. So give Dexter a thumbs up. Close one eye and look at your thumb with the other eye. Can you cover up Dexter with your thumb? No.
Yeah.
So you would have to back away until you can totally cover him up with your thumb. It should be about 50 yards, so just half a football field away. If it's a sow bear and her cubs, triple that distance. Yeah, because sow bears can be very protective of their cubs, so you want to make sure you give them
I'm
lots of space.
surprised she left them. She went a ways down the trail where we couldn't even see her, but we kind of saw her disappear behind a curve, and the kid in a group happened to look to the right and seeing the bushes black movement and realized, oh, she's got cubs in there.
Yep.
And I was surprised she went that far.
The other thing too is sometimes the cubs will be right next to the trail, or they might be. You might not see them because they're small in the vegetation. So be aware of your surroundings too. Yeah. So look out for bears. Another thing to look out for is this lovely plant. Does anybody know what this is? It has 3 leaves, and where they meet on the stem, it's kind of red.
That's poison ivy.
We don't have poison oak here in the southeast. We have poison ivy. But poison ivy comes in a couple forms. It can be on the ground like this, or it could also be a hairy vine crawling up the trees. So if you see a hairy vine crawling up the trees, do me a favor, don't hug the tree, because that could leave you with a red itchy rash. If you do get into poison ivy, you just want to wash it with soap and water, with cool water if you can, to get it off. And then last but not least, so today I'm going to get into this in just a second. We're going to be traveling through Daisy Town, to this historic district of Elkmont. While we're here, be on the lookout for these critters. Does anybody know which one of these is venomous? So I have 1 or 2. What do you think? Which one's a venomous snake?
I would say that one.
2? 1 or 2? I don't know. It says 1. 1 or 2? Okay. How many people said 1? How many people said 2? If you said 2, you were correct. 1 looks a lot like number 2. It's a northern water snake, and you'll see it on a lot of rocks along the creeks or trails. 2, the main reason why you know that this is a venomous snake is it has a kind of triangular head. The other reason is I'm not close to it taking a picture. Good advice to take. Don't get close to a venomous snake. The best thing to do with snakes is just give them a lot of space and let them be on their way. Okay, so today we're going to be exploring Great Smoky Mountains National Park and this historic district. What's the first word that comes to mind when someone says Great Smoky Mountains National Park? What's the first thing you think of? Mountains, yeah.
Bears.
Bears, what else? Smoky Bear, yeah, you might think about Smoky Bear. Well, Great Smoky Mountains is one of over 400 National Park Service units. And when you get to national parks, you'll see this sign, and it tells you all the things that we protect. Here in the Smokies, we're known for some of the oldest mountains in all of North America and their beautiful scenic views and the geology. We're known for beautiful waterways, over 2,000 streams and waterfalls in the park. We're known for a variety or diversity of different types of plants and animals, also known as a salamander camp. We also provide opportunity for people to go bike riding in the national park. But one of the most unique things... Yeah, they do have bike riding in Cades Cove, yeah. But one of the most unique things that we do is we protect the stories of the place. or the history of the place. And today we're going to be exploring the history in historic Elkmont. Now, I want to make this a little interactive at first. So I'm going to send you out to explore on your own for about 10 minutes. Just be careful, watch for snakes around the outside of the cabins if you go in. I need you to split into groups. I'm going to give each group a scavenger hunt. You are going to look for these items. You're going to use your observation skills to make observations about these cabins. And then we're going to group back up in about 10 to 15 minutes right at that sign out by the white cabin. And we're going to discuss what your observations were, which ones you found, and some of the history behind it. And then we'll continue on with our history hike. Some of the things that you're looking for, I'm going to give you some specifics. For your group, I want you to look for the cabin with tick mark numbering the logs to make... Sorry. You're going to look for the cabin with tick marks marking the outside logs so that you know how to reassemble it. You're going to look for critter prints, like dog or animal prints, outside one of the small cabins. You're going to look for a cabin with 7 different levels. You're going to look for a cabin or a doorway with pencil marks showing heights of kids and dogs. You're going to look for a hidden bathroom. You're going to look for a narrow door. Now, when I say narrow door, when I put on my backpack, this door is so narrow that I have to turn sideways to go through it. Okay? So I'm going to give, so you'll notice something about the cabins. If you look at the cabins on the post outside the cabins, they're numbered. So just put your number next to them. I'll give you try to find at least those 5 things that I told you about at a minimum. So if you'll send one member of your group to me, I'll give you a clipboard and a pencil. You're going to write your cabin number next to it.
No, you go ahead and give this one.
We're going to meet in about 10 minutes. Let me give you change. Not happy. That's true. Some people aren't happy with change. Absolutely. It's great that you said that. Remind me of that at the end. Okay. What else? Different. What? Moving. Yeah. Things move and change. Yeah. Have you ever heard that the quote, change is inevitable, but growth is optional? Or I've heard people say, the only thing constant in life is death, taxes, and change. Yep. What about, someone said the measure of intelligence is our ability to change. Or one person said, our greatest discovery is that a person can change their future by changing their attitude. So Elkmont is a good representation of change. Some of the items that you found or your observations can tell us the story of this place. Now, let me ask you this. Who do you think lived in these houses?
We saw the door thing.
The door thing, yeah. We're going to talk about that and what it meant. Who might have lived in these houses?
Rich people that needed a vacation home.
Ooh, rich people that needed a vacation home. You might have done some homework. Yep. Are these houses like your houses in any way? Kind of. How are they like your houses?
What they have the same like. Well, they look. They kind of do.
There's some cars coming. Let me get everybody to step off the pavement for just a second. I'm sorry. Go right ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
They have like their doors like a different walls, but they're kind of the same at the same time.
The doors, talking about the doors are different.
Okay, doors might be different, but did your house have a door? Do your houses have windows? Colorful walls, yeah. Do some of your houses have steps to go in and out? Do some of your houses have porches? What do you use your porch for?
To relax.
To relax, yeah, good. What about, did you notice that one of these buildings doesn't have any ceilings? How are these houses different from your houses?
There's no furniture.
No furniture anymore? Yeah.
Fireplaces.
Fireplaces? Yeah, I don't have a fireplace.
All the rooms are separated.
Oh, rooms are
Yeah,
set.
yeah, because now these days, open concept.
Oh, that's That's interesting that you said that. All right.
So very few have hallways, like all the rooms bleed into each other.
Oh, very. Their lands, or gave up their lands to the federal government in a treaty called the Treaty of Dumpling Creek. And after the Cherokee people moved out of these lands, there were European settlers that moved here. Which of these buildings that you see behind me, which one do you think is the oldest?
The red one.
Log cabin.
It's the log cabin, yes. That's the Levi Trenum place. On your scavenger hunt, did you find the house that had tick marks to tell you how to put the logs back together? The Levi Trenum cabin is the oldest cabin in this kind of region of the park. It dates back to the 1830s, and it was originally located along the campground area down below where we are today. The Trenums and the Owenbys were people that were early European settlers that moved into this area, cut down logs, and built their log cabins. The reason why that cabin took apart the cabin, they put those marks on the outside of the logs so we would know how to put it back together.
Did the family that built that do that, or did someone else later come along?
The National Park Service did later. Yep. Well, what about who found the cabin with the narrow door? The door that's so narrow I had to scoot through it sideways. Which cabin was that?
I found it.
Can you point to it? The white one, yes, this one. This is the Colonel W.B. Townsend cabin, number 7. And as we walk by it in a little bit, you can, if you didn't find this cabin, if you look in, you'll see a door that's so narrow, itty bitty. Why do you think it has such a narrow door?
Bears.
Wasn't bears. That's a good idea, though. Not for kids. Any other ideas? A cat or a pet? There are some cabins in the park that do have cat doors or pet doors, like we might have. This cabin, what else is unusual about this cabin when you look at the front of it?
Just 2 doors.
2 doors. Do you have 2 front doors? No.
A duplex does.
Duplexes might, and this is kind of like the duplex of the day, actually. So what you may not know is when we walk down this road, we're actually walking on what used to be part of an old railroad. The Little River Lumber Company in 1901 built a sawmill in Tuckaleechee Cove, which is in Townsend. Anybody staying in Townsend area or near Kate's Cove? Nope. Okay, so at the time, in the early 1900s, a lot of the logging companies had already extracted a ton of lumber from the Northeast. And they were looking for good lumber, and they moved into the southern Appalachian Mountains because there was good lumber in this area. So believe it or not, this area that we're walking on right now used to be part of an old railroad. How that connects with this house is W.B. Townsend, this was his house. They actually brought the railroad right through the area that we're gonna walk down. And when they brought the railroad cars in, they unloaded these, what they call string towns. They unloaded these cabins using cranes right off the back of the railroad flatbeds and put them right down next to each other. They then joined them together, so that's why we have 2 front doors to get into the cabins. In fact, Elkmont became a booming lumber town. I'll pass this around so you can take a look at it. If you start in the campground and you're at the campground office and look up through the B section, this is what it looked like at one point of time. I'll pass that around. You can take that. Elkmont had a lumber logging store. It also had a post office. It had a commissary where you could buy all of your goods, and the post office to send things home. If you worked for the lumber company, you were paid about $30 a month. And this is a replica of what you were paid in. It's called a Digaloo coin. And this one is from Champion Fiber Company, another lumber company. I'll pass that around so you can look at it. But you were paying those coins. Typically you made $30 a month, but that would be equivalent to about $800 a month, which between 1908, when the lumber company arrived here, and when they pulled out in 1925, $800 a month, that was a lot of money. So, while the lumber company was here, they were cutting trees 16, 18, 20 feet in diameter. And the wood was taken out by the railroad The Little River Railroad connected with the Knoxville and Augusta railroads, which linked the railroads all the way out to Charleston and Beaufort, South Carolina, connected with Knoxville, and then the goal was to connect the railroads to the Mississippi. Why would you want to connect all the way from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi? What? Yeah, well, to transport stuff down the Mississippi River and out on the Atlantic coast. You can still see remnants of the Little River Railroad Company. If you go down into the B section, just past the B section or just past the walk-in section, you'll see this this area of cinder blocks, or it looks like a big 4x4 block area. That's where they used to work on their train engines. So I'll put that around. However, there's more to the story than that. So these were those set-off houses that were combined together. Next to it, you'll notice the house has 3 doors. That was Colonel Townsend's wife, Colonel Townsend's daughter's house. She married a gentleman who owned what would later become Imes Nature Center. Next to that, did anyone find the little cabin that had footprints outside? We'll make a pile, yeah. So next to that, you'll see a tiny little cabin that looks like a playhouse. It was Colonel W.P. Townsend's granddaughter's cabin, and outside it was like a playhouse. It actually had a fire pit outside, and there were some dog prints and child prints in the cement out there. Now I'm going to show my age here. Did any of you have your footprints made when you were a child? Like at the hospital, of course, you had your footprints, fingerprints and footprints made. But did any of you, or even these days, they sell little kits where you can get your child's footprint made in it. Some people make it